took out the camera to do a 2-minute tarot video, and I kind of felt like I might speak a few extra words into the camera while it's on. I don't have an awful lot of battery left, so it's going to be short and sweet today, I think. I just thought I might talk a little bit about tarot. I go through not phases of being interested in tarot or involved with tarot, because I'm always involved with tarot. Ever since I started down this path, tarot has remained central to my spiritual practice, to my personal development. It's become central to who I am, and more that is becoming the case. But I feel like it kind of comes in waves. I will have peaks and troughs in my tarot journey as a tarot student, and indeed as a tarot reader for others. There are times when I'm more inspired and times when it takes a bit more of a backseat. Other things are kind of coming into the fore. So at the moment I'm definitely on the tarot peak. I'm very enthusiastic again about the tarot readings on Heartstory. For a while there I was focusing on writing the ebook, which I am getting there, don't worry. And I am planning on getting prayer beads up maybe this month. Yeah, hopefully this month. So those things were kind of, I was putting all my focus on them, and it's not that I wasn't using tarot or that I wasn't doing readings, but it took a bit of a backseat, and I haven't really been pushing it. I haven't really been really working to develop the products that I am selling online, like the tarot readings that I'm selling online. I hadn't been thinking about it much until the last couple of weeks, but it's really kind of starting to click for me a bit again now that my tarot relationship, or my tarot love, is at a peak again. I'm starting to read for myself more, to draw cards for myself more, and spend time. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by my cat, who is doing things she shouldn't be doing. But anyway, I'm starting to think more about how I can offer up my tarot learning to others, how I can utilize it to help others better, and to better use my skills as a tarot reader, because of course everyone's tarot skills are slightly different, and we're all going to be suited to slightly different reading styles. So I wasn't necessarily going to go into that much, but there are a couple of changes going to happen on the Etsy shop. There's something new going to be coming up very soon this week. I'll make another video to announce that later in the week. And I also did actually add a couple of new readings to the shop, which are essentially general readings. So they're, rather than, up until now, all of the readings on the store have been sort of set spreads, but I've added three new readings essentially that are, the idea is that they're personalised, so that I will take your question, and based on that I will devise a spread that is suited to your needs. So the reason I've gone off on this kind of tangent is because I wanted to talk about tarot spreads and whether I use them, how I use them, and that kind of thing. So when I started out learning tarot, I always used spreads. I always used set positions for the cards, and I think that was a very good way to learn, because if I had tried to just draw, say, 3 or 5 cards and just kind of interpret them on the fly, it would have been very difficult for me, because there are so many different interpretations that you can come up with for any combination of cards, or even any one card, that it would be totally overwhelming for me to try and do that from the beginning. And I would suggest to anybody who's learning that they do use spreads with set positions. I found that helpful anyway. And I stuck with that for a long time. It's definitely a really useful way of doing it, because if you've drawn cards that are representing very specific aspects of the issue or the question that you have in mind, it's much easier to very quickly decide what area of the question this card is pertaining to. Say for example you draw the 6 of Wands, and if your question is about, you know, your relationship, there are so many different ways that you can start interpreting that card, unless you have actually drawn it with relation to a specific issue in the relationship, or a specific thought pattern, a specific, you know what I mean? So yeah, I have definitely found that very useful, and I continue to find it very useful when I'm reading for clients. I think that reading for other people is one of those things where maybe having a set spread is something that I will continue to do more than I do for myself, because you don't know the ins and outs of someone else's situation. All you're working on is your intuition and the cards as they are laid out in front of you. And in order to give advice guidance and suggestions that are going to be of any use, that are going to be specific enough to be of use to the querent. I think I don't think you need to use specific spreads or card positions, but I do think that they're helpful because they narrow the focus, like I said. And I think that makes it much easier to sort of more smoothly pick a direction that you want to go with that particular card and lay that out for your querent. But I am very interested in trying out using doing tarot readings without using spreads or without using specific set positions for the cards for querents, because more and more that's actually the way that my tarot reading is going for myself. So for myself these days, it kind of just started happening organically, that whenever I took out my deck, I didn't feel the need to start figuring out what kind of spread I was going to use, start picking out what positions or what specific areas of the question I wanted to address with different cards. I suppose because it's more informal, and also because I know my own situation intimately, it's quite easy to just say, start with 3 cards and look at them and just kind of go from there. So my kind of method for reading for myself at the moment is that I will usually draw maybe 3 or 4 cards, have a look, start to think about how they relate to my question or my focus area, start to look at how they relate to each other and that kind of thing, start to figure out or start to think about and usually journal about what kind of aspects of the situation that they might be bringing up and what kind of different ways that I can start to look at things. And then I will probably draw a few more cards in whatever directions that those cards have started shooting me off into, if you see what I mean. So it's almost that like the cards that I draw dictate the positions. If I draw 4 cards, I don't have positions set positions or meanings in mind, but once I have assigned meanings to them myself in my own mind through my own understanding of my situation, then I can say, right, well, that card is about the kind of practical aspects, this card is about the spiritual aspects, and then I can start to draw more cards if I want to, following on from that. And I think this works very well for reading for myself, because I'm just so immersed in the situation, and because it allows me to move very fast if I want to. It allows me to be very organic with my reading for myself. But I do think it would be interesting to start using this for other people as well. And it strikes me that it would give a reading quite a different tone. I do think though that if you're reading for somebody else and you're using that method of not having a set spread or not having specific set positions for the cards, that you would probably have to pay a lot more attention to card combinations, and that you would probably have to work a lot with card combinations and thinking about what specific sets of different cards is going to suggest for you, just to give you a bit of guidance, to give you some sort of roadmap for when you're trying to interpret the cards for somebody else, not knowing their situation obviously anywhere near as well as you will know your own. So that's something I'm kind of thinking about and thinking about incorporating into my reading practice for others. I do think sometimes though that maybe I miss out a little bit when I read cards that organically for myself all the time, and I think I might start every now and then using a very specific spread for myself for specific card positions, because I think it's a bit more, if you're kind of doing it more organically in the way that I've been describing, I think maybe that you can end up coming up with the answers that you were expecting more than if you use kind of set positions. Maybe the set positions will sort of create more of a cognitive dissonance and create more of a situation where you go, oh, that's a strange combination, I would have not expected that card to come up in that position, what could that mean? And that's going to maybe send you off in a direction that is maybe more of a novelty, or more, yeah, something a bit more fresh for you, a new avenue of thinking. But yeah, so well, with the changes that I'm kind of going to be making to the readings that I'm offering, I'm still going to be offering the same set spreads that I have been offering on the shop, because I do like them a lot. I'll probably be tweaking them over time, but I like that basic core set of spreads that I am offering. But yeah, as things are changing with the shop, that I'm hoping that I'll be able to experiment more with using different modes of reading for clients and querents or whatever. And I am going to have a very exciting opportunity coming up soon, actually, where I'm going to be using tarot in a life coaching context, rather than just being kind of a tarot reading. It'll be much more focused on life coaching, but I will be using tarot to facilitate that coaching. And this is just going to be a friend of mine, a friend in need, who essentially kind of talked me into offering to do this. She didn't explicitly ask, but we were having a conversation in a group, and I was sort of stepping in and offering a few pieces of advice and trying to steer her in a direction of actually helping herself and actually getting herself out of the rut that she has gotten herself into. And I could see that something was clicking with her in a way that maybe it hadn't been doing for her at all. And she sort of hinted that she might want me to act as a life coach for her. So I offered to her that I would do that. So I'm going to be offering her a few free coaching sessions. First of all, free because, you know, she's my friend, and also because I haven't done anything explicitly called life coaching before. But it is an area that I'm really interested in. And the thing is that once I start moving more towards something that is explicitly called life coaching, as opposed to just using tarot cards to as a springboard for advice, I start to feel like I need some form of qualification, and that's something that I'm going to be looking into and thinking about what I can do, because it's a bit of a tricky one for me, because I am educated to master's level and I really don't want to be kind of going backwards too much or spending too much money on something that is a lower sort of level, qualification level. But then if you're talking about master's level, it's very expensive. So it's all very complicated and convoluted, and I'm sort of trying to figure out where I want to go with that. But I'm definitely going to take that opportunity. It's a really exciting opportunity for me, because it gives me a chance to do something that I have really, really wanted to do, but that I haven't actually felt confident enough to offer to people online. Which is probably just my fear talking. There's probably no reason why, I mean, there's no legal reason. You don't technically have to be qualified to be a life coach. So there's no legal reason why I couldn't offer life coaching online, but it's just something that ethically I felt like, no, I felt completely comfortable to be offering tarot readings, but actual life coaching, labelled as life coaching, seemed to be a step too far for me. So I'd be very interested in moving into that territory as well as time moves on. So this video has been way longer than I meant it to be because I'm a rambler. So I'll leave it there, and thanks for watching, guys. I hope you're all well, and I will be updating you again later in the week as to the new changes, the new products or services that I'm going to be offering on the shop. Bye.